Well, it's been 3 weeks and 3 days since my surgery, and I can't believe it's only been 3 weeks and 3 days. It feels like it has been such a long time. In case you didn't know, I was supposed to be in the hospital for just 1 day for the bilateral mastectomies and the reconstruction start process. I was actually in the hospital almost 5 days, had some difficulties there in the hospital. Came home on a Monday night, was pretty much knocked out by medication all day. Tuesday, Wednesday, I got up to walk around the house, to try to keep blood clots from forming, and felt tremendous pain in my right leg and ended up with a blood clot. So I had to go back to the hospital and was in the hospital for another 24 hours. And that hospital visit was horrible, awful. Once I finally got checked in and got into a room, the nurses were wonderful, but the process in the emergency room was a nightmare. I live in an area where they don't see this type of surgery very often, and they did not really know how to deal with me or handle me or treat me or even take my blood pressure, and it was awful. The worst part about it was that I felt like the nurses were not listening to me, and I had just been in the hospital for 5 days, so I was pretty hip on how things should happen and what you can do and what you can't do to me, and they just weren't listening at all, and it was awful. There was a moment there when I thought I was being mishandled so much and things were going so wrong that I was literally frightened that I would not come out of the hospital. Fortunately, I ended up with an amazing doctor and a nurse that did finally take control of the situation and listen to me and help get me situated properly and get everything taken care of. At that point, I still had all the drains in my breast, and it was extremely painful. Plus, then I had a blood clot. It was awful. But through this whole experience, I have had, let me see if I can make sure, I've had 3 ultrasounds, 1 CAT scan, 1 MRI, 4 ultrasounds actually. I've been in the hospital a total of 6 days, and had a blood clot in my leg. That was one complication. Last week when I went back for my second expansion of the expanders into my chest for reconstruction, they found that one of my incisions is actually coming apart, and either I strained doing too much and pulled it apart, or it got too wet in a shower. I think what happened was actually my hair after I shower is long enough where it lays over my chest, and I think it got my bandages wet, and that's what ended up happening. But however it happened, it's not pretty. So this Tuesday, I actually won't get expanded. I'm just going back down to Denver to be checked out, make sure that the sutures are okay, or I had no sutures, make sure that the incisions are okay, and that I'm still going to be able to continue with expansion. The danger with this incision splitting open is that if it does not heal back together properly, then the expansions that we're doing right now are going to have to stop because my skin's not going to be able to handle it. I would be pretty disappointed at that point because I was hoping, as most girls do, to end up with a larger chest than I started with, but if I don't, that's okay. I'm just thankful that I don't have to worry about breast cancer. But, it's kind of a bummer if this is where we have to stop. But I did want to show you a few things. I want to show you how I look right now in clothes. It's kind of nice being 3 weeks after surgery. If you met me on the street, you would have no idea that I have just gone through a double mastectomy. So I'm going to stand up and try to show you what I look like in clothing right now.